In Hades 2, our task seems very clear. We are to journey down into the deepest parts of Hades to defeat Kronos, who somehow managed to escape his chains in Tartarus and now has our family imprisoned.
Vengeance for my family.
But things might not be so cut and dry. We actually have two paths that we can choose from when heading out of the crossroads. One path seems to lead downward and the other one leads upward. However, we see a ward in place that stops us from taking the path upward. This video has some minor spoilers for events coming later in the game, but if you're curious about this or you're wondering how you can take this path, keep watching. This is definitely an area you're going to want to explore as soon as you can. There are tons of new enemies, reagents, and even new gods to discover on the surface.
They need my aid. I'll see if I need theirs.
At the start of the game, we learn that Hermes is doing some reconnaissance and has been missing a while because of this. When he finally comes back, we learn that we are needed on Mount Olympus as soon as possible.
How's things? You good? I'm good, mostly. And good to see your task's underway, but change of plan, though it's a lot to ask. Up for a visit to Olympus sometime soon?
That's right. The stairway leading up takes us to the surface and eventually leads to Olympus itself. Knowing that there are wards in place, we talk to Hecate about them. Eventually, we learn that the wards are removable with a spell that requires a number of resources and a bit of time. Once you use the incantation and wait the duration of time, the ward is removed and we can head up to the surface. Are you guys ready to go to the surface? Let's go to the surface. Now, unfortunately, it isn't as easy as that. Remember how Zagreus would die shortly after visiting the surface in the first game?
Oh, guess I'm just a little tired, that's all.
Well, it turns out that we have the same problem. The surface doesn't really agree with us, so while we are able to venture onto the surface, we aren't able to travel very far before our life starts steadily draining. This is a problem for sure, but if you hurry, you're able to gather some resources in the first 3 to 4 rooms that you visit before you die. Bronze, for example, allows us to unlock the last weapon and the fishing rod, and we also find moss. However, it is clear that we aren't going to be able to progress much further through the surface without some help. We need to talk to our buddy Moros, and we discover that the Fates put the restriction in place for our family. But with the power of, you guessed it, an incantation, we can release ourselves from the restriction. There's some concern that the Fates would be a bit miffed about going against their will, but as it turns out, they might not mind, or at least they might not be in a position to mind due to being, well, indisposed. Trouble is, the reagents required for the incantation to break the curse are a bit difficult to find. You have to go to Chaos's realm and have the shovel equipped to gather the seeds. They give you some seeds when you visit them and tell them of your predicament. It seems Chaos doesn't much care for the will of the Fates.
As you may know, I am uninterested in the Fates having undue influence. Perhaps you may find a catalyst here for this incantation, whether they like it or not.
You go back to your garden in the crossroads, plant the seeds, and harvest the plant when it comes up. You're now able to complete the incantation that allows you to safely walk around the surface. So that's it. Just get the incantation to remove the ward guarding the second stairway, collect some resources before you die on the surface, talk to Moros to figure out how to survive on the surface by spurning the will of the Fates, collect some special seeds from Chaos, plant them in your garden, harvest them when they come up, start the incantation, and voila! When the incantation is complete, you can traverse the surface. This area is amazing and has a lot of interesting characters to meet, bosses to fight, and enemies to defeat. The first area has a unique layout somewhat similar to the Temple of Styx in Hades. You have all of the choices laid out for you, and you just need to pick which area to go to first. A tip to gain more resources is to check for these side rooms that can open up. They grant additional smaller rewards such as gold, an element, bonus mana, or health. As of the making of this video, the surface isn't complete, but we do have 2 biomes and 2 bosses, both of which are pretty amazing. I'm extremely excited to see what Supergiant has in store for us, whether it be new characters, game mechanics, artwork, bosses, and enemies. And I'm sure Olympus is as spectacular as the legends have us believe. Have you made it to the surface yet? Things get pretty difficult up there. What strategies have helped you be successful? Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.